you want to go ahead and just introduce them now? So we
Okay,
get
I've got
it on record?
Dominic.
My name is Dominic Sabiera. I'm a Chief Operating Officer for Northeast Texas Municipal Water District, and I'm in charge of the water treatment plants, the environmental, and basically all the operations besides office.
And I've got Osiris Brantley.
I'm the CFO of the water district.
Okay.
This may come as a surprise to some. However, the Northeast Texas Municipal Water District is in the water business. The district supplies raw and treated water to municipal and industrial customers. Water is not supplied at no cost. The district incurs operational and maintenance expenses that must be addressed, similar to the obligations faced by our member cities and customers. Lake of the Pines is owned by the federal government and operated by the Corps of Engineers for flood control purposes. Therefore, the Northeast Texas Municipal Water District cannot sell the lake as some have come to believe. Due to some forward-looking leaders from the past, the citizens of the city of Pittsburgh and 6 additional member cities joined together to vote to form the district. These same citizens voted to make a financial sacrifice from 1958 to 1977 to pay an ad valorem tax rate of $1.65 per hundred. That's more than you're paying in school taxes today, to participate with the Corps of Engineers in a lake that was built for flood purposes. The funds raised by the member cities were to be used to raise the dam, to have an additional approximately 2 foot of additional water resource within the lake for the purposes of their choosing. Along with the ad valorem tax contributions, the member cities also are responsible for 13.4% of the yearly maintenance and operating cost of maintaining the lake through the district. This financial sacrifice is what affords the Northeast Texas Municipal Water District and the 7 member cities the opportunity to earn return on their investment by monetizing their excess water resource. The district possesses an excess water supply and is frequently approached regarding this resource. While discussions with interested parties are common, their interest usually dwindles when they complete their due diligence and studies associated with the cost of moving water from one point to another. For a number of years, one of those interested parties was the North Texas Freshwater District. This district serves several rural communities to the north and south along the rapidly growing Highway 380 corridor from Greenville, such as the communities of Farmersville, Princeton, Bonham, Josephine, Melissa, Lucas, Anna, Royce City, and Van Alstyne. They also serve larger populated areas like Allen, Garland, Mesquite, Delano, Richardson, and Rockwall. Approximately 5 years ago, this district took on a more serious tone in their discussions with the Northeast Texas Municipal Water District, and we began studies to identify the significance of our excess water resource. At the same time, we began communicating with our current customers to survey the possibilities of any additional needs that they may have in order to determine whether we had enough volume to make the discussions worthwhile for both parties. For several years now, we have communicated to our constituents, the member cities. We've been accused of not transparent. Our transparency is to you, the member cities. You're our constituents. Anytime a possibility exists to get a return on their investment for forming the district through monetizing of water sales, the member cities have over the years sold water to entities like Tyrone Road Water Supply Corp., Diana Sud, the city of Harleton, and the city of Marshall, to name a few. The city of Pittsburgh for this past year received $66,233.91 for its participation in water sales. For the years from 2010 to 2024, the city of Pittsburgh has received $853,285 for its participation. Some county commissioners' courts have passed resolution in opposition to any sale or lease of water from the Northeast Texas Municipal Water Districts. Perhaps the better question to be asked is, what have these commissioner courts done to aid the district member cities with economic development efforts over the past 66 years to utilize this excess water resource? The member cities can use the proceeds of water sales and leases to lower their ad valorem tax rates, address utility infrastructure needs, hire additional police officers, buy firefighting apparatus, enhance recreational needs of their communities, or whatever amenities and services they feel their citizens will benefit. The political posturing and the villainization of the district general manager, Wayne Owen, as a Trojan horse are baseless, unfair, and unnecessary. At the time of his hire, Mr. Owen was employed by the San Jacinto River Authority. Through the years, we've had the opportunity to interact with Mr. Owen in professional settings involving the water industry. A majority of the Northeast Texas Municipal Water Board felt that Mr. Owen had the skills, so he was hired. He was no different than most of you looking to enhance your career advancement. He was to serve as a general manager for a water entity. Discussion with regard to potential water sales existed before Mr. Owen was employed by the district. Let me be clear, these are my views and opinions as the board member who represents the city of Pittsburgh. I do not speak for, nor do I wish to speak for the other 6 board members and the cities they represent, nor do I speak for the board as a whole. I will seek guidance from the city of Pittsburgh. And I will abide by the direction that is given to me with regard to Pittsburgh's 24.9% interest in their water interest of the district. I'll have a closing statement after we're going to go over some of the material that we gave you to let you have more information that you need when you get to that point that you'll be discussing. See us?
I just kind of want to go over some historical numbers of the lake. I do want to start off by saying that the lake was created by the Flood Control Act of 1946 for the purpose of flood control. A lot of people don't understand how the lake works, but the lake itself, the vessel or the hole, is owned by the Corps of Engineers. And the water in the lake is owned by the state of Texas. So all surface water in Texas is property of the state and held in trust for the citizens of the state. We, the Northeast Texas Municipal Water District, just have permission in the form of a water right to use 203,800 acre feet of that water that belongs to the state. In your packet, we have a press release that you could just read on your own time, but if you flip over to the first graph, Lake of the Pines 10-year analysis, a lot of people look at the lake, and if you look at it as a tub, and a lot of people think that it's filled up to 203,800 acre feet, and then from there, any diversions would lower the lake. But what they don't understand is that it's actually like a faucet on a bathtub turned on. So you have it on continuously, so there's water flowing in that bathtub continuously. So as it does get drained, but if you have the faucet on high, it's continuously getting full. And I think a lot of people and a lot of citizens don't understand. They just think it's full, you turn it off, and then it just gets drained, but that's not the case. Especially in our area, we have a lot of rain. And so in this graph, I would like for you to look at the chart. The blue line that you see in the last 10 years from 2023 to 2024 is how full the lake was. So for example, in 2023, the lake had stored 260,303 acre feet. If you look at the green line, that is what was actually used. So out of 260,303 acre feet, only 19,752 acre feet were used. That's for all of our customers, our member cities, and our raw water industrial customers. That's everything combined. And then if you look at the red line, that is what was released downstream. So if you think about that tub, you have that faucet on full, and so even though you're continuously, you've got to release or it's going to overflow, right? If you don't release water, the tub will overflow. So those are the releases. So if you look at the last 10 years,
let me just point in here. So that gets released downstream, right? It ends up going into the Red River. It goes into the state of Louisiana. There are water entities in the state of Louisiana that have their straw in that river that's taking water that we're releasing. Okay? What they don't take ends up in the Gulf of Mexico.
So if you look in the last 10 years, what was actually used? 229,000 acre feet. What was released? Over 5 million acre feet. If you look at the next page, I thought it was important to include the drought of record. The drought of record, if you look at, this is basically the same information that you just saw, but it goes all the way back to 2000. If you look at 2011, the drought of record, the lake storage was 175,167 acre feet, which is about 86% full in the worst drought of record. And even then, we released the lake in combination with the Corps and our releases was 44,388 acre feet. If you look down, I just finished calculating. Every year I have to submit to the TCEQ and the Texas Water Development Board how much we used. And this last year, for everything, we only used 9,478 acre feet. So even in the worst drought of record, over 44,000 acre feet were released. And just last year, we released only 9,478 acre feet. So that was, I don't know if you have any questions on just the historical numbers.
How is this calculated? How do you come up with these figures?
All these figures are on the Corps of Engineer website. So I have them all printed. I have a stack for my backup. And if you do look at this last 25-year history, over 10 million acre feet were released downstream. Oh, you want it? Okay.
I would like to take a second. If you look at the last slide in this presentation, that was the press release, which actually shows how much water on average for the year is being released by Lake of the Pines and is heading towards Caddo. And this number here from 1993-2020 accounts for about 445,000 acre feet on average. I spent about 2 days looking at every single day release on a Corps website. And then for this presentation, I looked at from 2000 to 2024, so 24 years of data, which were very close to the numbers you're seeing on this screen. 445,000 acre feet leaving to Caddo, when Caddo overflows and leaves about 1.8 million acre feet on average by themselves. That shows you that we are only a portion of what water enters Caddo. There's rain, but there's also evaporation, but there's other tributaries to Caddo which comes in. The stunning portion was where on the drought of record, when we released only, or Lake of the Pine released only 44,000 acre feet, that same year Caddo released 380,000 acre feet. I mean, it's a lot of water leaving Caddo. They can't hold much, we understand this, but it doesn't matter if this deal comes through or not, that 445,000 is gonna be going through. And all we're asking is to tap some of this and monetize it for city's purposes. And that's good business. We will not drain this lake. It's impossible to do this. I mean, there's so much rain that with 1,658 cubic feet per second, which currently are being released at the dam, that takes 1 day of this release to satisfy entire municipal needs for the year for Tanner plant, which sends water, including Pittsburgh, to all our customers. 1 day release accounts for 1 year of water, treated water to customers. I will leave it to your own decision if this is sounding like we are emptying a lake or not. So thank you so much.
Any questions for Dominic? Good. All right, I don't have the 2024 numbers. You may know them off your hand, but the contractual obligation we made with the member cities was for 47,000 acre feet. So if you're 40,000 acre feet in 2023, the member cities utilized 3,418 acre feet of that. The unused portion was 43,582 acre feet. That includes your use by the member cities as well as what you have sold off. So 43,582 acre feet went unused by the member cities. For the district, the total unused portion was 189,049 acre feet. Have you got 24 numbers?
I do. So, the member cities, use in combination, so y'all have your member cities usage, but you also have coming out of that member city pile, what you get a check for every month, which is Marshall, Harleton, Tron, Diana. So combined with y'all's and them, because it comes out of your same 47,000 pile, usage was 3,275 acre feet, which is 6% of the 47,000. And then the district's portion, for industrial purposes, we only use 6,203 acre feet of the 156,800. So that's 4%. We're using 4%. And when you think about it, like I said, it's still, that's just usage. We're still releasing more because that faucet's on continuously.
And I would like to add one last thing. The conservation pool sits at about 228.5. That's where the lake is considered full. What's left before it overflows, it's another 20 feet of space. Imagine it in a tub like this. That 20 feet of space can hold additional 600,000 acre feet. So there's another 2.5 lakes can get on top of that lake before it overflows. That's just something to think about how prolific this water vessel is. And it was built for that reason. At the wettest year on record, that reached 245, so it was 4 feet from overflowing. At Lake of the Pines helps Caddo not getting flooded. That's portion of it. And I believe that the problem is what Laura said, that there is, what if it's drought? What happens then? And I believe those conversations will be held, but at any point, there is no district's means to empty this lake. It's just not. We work here, we live here because we want to support our member cities, our families. We're producing drinking water, safe drinking water for all those communities and customers. When the Storm Uri happened, our employees worked tirelessly. Some of them a week not seeing home, driving in those conditions to provide water to all those member cities. You guys don't think about water coming off the faucet unless something is wrong with it, and that's what we do 24/7. Thank you.
Well, don't speak too soon, because you might get that opportunity in the next 2 days.
Somebody else
Alright.
say it.
I'll update as far as contractual sales or anything of that nature. As to the update for the council in that regards, I can only offer that we continue to have discussion with entities looking for raw and treated water resources from the district and member cities. We have no current written offers to purchase, to discuss, or present for your consideration at this time. If and when we have something in writing that the board of directors feels is legitimate, then we will be back before this body to present you with your options for consideration. Are there any questions that we can answer?
On the entities path that you seek out for purchasing water, are they purchasing treated and untreated water, or what's?
The North Texas Municipal Water District would be for raw water.
Okay.
Some of the other entities are raw and treated in the area.
And do they generally seek you out, or are you looking for them?
Well, it's for the water plan, we have to identify we have access, correct?
Yes.
So they generally go to the water plan, they find out who's got access, and then they start hunting around. But most of the time, they know that we have access, and they know through other customers that we have. The water industry is a little tight-knit organization, I'd say, and there's just not very many of us. And there's very few of us in the state with access.
Are you seeing, and I'm looking at just in the Northeast Texas region, are you seeing more of these, water districts that may be, on wells or some of the smaller water districts serving the rural areas? Are some of them coming to you as well, or are they seeking other sources, or what are they doing?
So other smaller districts, it is possible that we have had conversations in the past, but like I stated earlier, it comes down to their due diligence and the amount of money it takes to move water from one point to another. It's not cheap to move water, especially out of our basin, because most likely you're gonna have to pump it uphill, so you're gonna have an expended cost of pumping cost. The other aspect too is it's just the distance thing. It's just too far, you know, it just gets to be too far. It's tough to move the water around the state. That creates a lot of the scarcity that exists in the state. We're water abundant. Other parts of the state are water negative. That doesn't mean that they won't pick up the phone and call and say, you got excess, and do you mind if we take a look? No, we don't mind at all. But in the end, more likely it's the cost that they're gonna have to pay that pretty much rules us out. North Texas is a little bit different because they already have some infrastructure in the area. It's still not gonna be an inexpensive endeavor on their behalf, should they choose to continue and move forward, and so on. Of course, they're involved in their due diligence process as now as well, determining. So nobody wants to get serious unless, you know, I wouldn't wanna get serious.
Yeah. And I don't know whether this question would be better for Laura or for you, but, talk to us just briefly about the water rights from the state of Texas. The state of Texas owns the water, especially when it
Okay.
comes from navigable
Yeah.
waterways.
So, the state of Texas issues the water right to the Northeast Texas Municipal Water District. They issued us 203,800 acre feet. At the time, I believe it was called the Texas Water Commission at that time. Today, the water rights are adjudicated by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, correct?
Correct.
I have to make sure I get all these acronyms correct. So the rights granted to the district are what they call perpetual rights. But there is a law on the book that says if you don't utilize those rights within 10 years, they do have the right to reallocate those rights. And that comes from a case study I may have left that one at the office, but it's a case study that comes out of a law journal at St. Mary's in San Antonio. And has the state ever taken a right away from an entity? I only know of one right that was taken away because they never did anything with it. All of our rights are pretty much were spoken for. I mean, we've identified them for industrial, municipal use, and so on. There are, you know, but we have, for 67 years, haven't used some of this right. So it could be just a matter of time before somebody decides that they want to come after that right. So it behooves us to seek out prior to, because it's more valuable that way. If I have to do it as a fire sale, it's gonna be at whatever they're willing to give me. At this point, I get an opportunity to set the market. I get to make the market in the water business. And that's kind of, that's where you wanna be. That's the driver's seat you wanna be in. You wanna be setting the market.
But the agreement, and I guess any of the reservoirs that are going to be in, there's nobody that's in the water business that's a reservoir that's gonna be different from that. They're gonna have to get rights from TCEQ, period.
They'll have to issue the right, correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
All the surface water bodies in the state.
The only difference is the groundwater. So groundwater doesn't have the same rules and regs as the surface water does. The country clubs out here, Princeville's got a 1/10 or a half acre right, acre foot for irrigation purposes. that was granted to them by the state of Texas, or the TCEQ. They don't use it, but they fill out the paperwork every so often to be able to maintain that right.
Okay. Okay.
The Cypress, the Pines is the senior water rights holder in the basin. So Sandlin and Cypress Springs could not have been constructed without our approval to start. So the basin's pretty well filled up. They've actually helped us because they help us with our siltation effort and keeps the silt out of the pines. And when we did the water study at Pines, where they came in and the Texas Water Development Board sent in a survey team, our siltation was a lot less than other reservoirs were the same age as Pines.
Okay. Now, were those other lakes considered part of the flood control issue, or what were they? What's their category?
Some of them are flood control lakes. Some of them were municipal built. Like I assume that's the Pittsburg City Lake. I assume at some point it might have been used for city water. I'm not sure. But it's not big enough for much. But but there are some communities that did. They went together and they built a reservoir for municipal use.
Okay. But I was looking at just the watershed on Cypress, like Cypress Springs and Sandlin.
Sandlin.
Were they part of flood control as well as like the
No.
Pines?
I think only
No.
Patrick. I think
They
only-
were built. We're the only core lake
Okay.
in the basin.
Okay. For that, just that part.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what makes this lake just different.
Yeah.
It's almost not fair to compare this to a recreational lake, which
That's
was
kind
built
of what
just
I was-
as a water
Yeah, that's
source
kind of what I
for
was
the
getting
cities.
at, on the same watershed with
Yeah.
different purposes, so, yeah.
Now, that's another item that keeps coming up is that, we'll take away their recreational use. Well, the lake wasn't built for recreation. The lake was built for flood control purposes. The Corps, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Corps can stop recreational use on that lake today. Because it wasn't designated for recreational use.
Okay.
So when we get to that point where we actually have something in paper or something solid and concrete, then I'll be back here before you and we'll go through those opportunities at that point in time. I've enjoyed serving, and if you guys decide you wanna keep me, I'll still be there. Otherwise, you find somebody else.
Pays really well.
Thanks, guys.
I don't know what you're